Hello and welcome to Quays News. I'm Harry Cohen.
And I'm Ellie Johnstone. This is what's coming up on today's show.
Strikes are continuing up and down the country over pay and working conditions. We spoke to strikers in Manchester who are participating.
I'm really worried about the future of our education system in this country. We're losing teachers at a crazy rate. The pay is not keeping people in, the conditions aren't keeping people in. And if it continues this way, I don't know what the future is going to be for our young people.
Plans for Manchester's new record-breaking building have been revealed, but what does the public think of this grand design?
The University of Manchester screened the new documentary The Modi Question, despite it causing lots of controversy.
Sir Jean Hunt was jailed for life in 2019 over a death in custody case dated.
And what do you get if you cross table tennis and badminton? We'll be taking a closer look at the new sport, pickleball.
For the mental health, good for the
But
physical
first
health.
today,
It's just a friendly atmosphere.
What is But first today, police have dropped charges against Manchester United footballer Mason Greenwood.
The forward hasn't played for United since the allegations, including attempted rape and assault, were made. Ewan Wishart is at Old Trafford. Ewan, what's the latest?
This afternoon at around 2 o'clock, Greater Manchester Police and the Crown Prosecution Service announced that all criminal proceedings against Mason Greenwood have been discontinued. The 21-year-old was arrested last January after allegations surrounding images and videos appeared on social media. Within just a few hours of those allegations, Greenwood was suspended from playing and training with Manchester United. Greenwood was later charged with attempted rape, controlling behaviour and coerced favour and assault. A Crown Prosecution Service statement today said the charges were discontinued after a key witness withdrew their involvement and new evidence came to light, which meant there was no longer a realistic prospect of conviction. Greater Manchester Police said the decision had not been taken lightly. The force also said they were committed to investigating allegations of violence against women and girls and supporting those affected. With these latest developments, we wait to see what Manchester United will do next.
Since the beginning of the year, unions up and down the country have called for strike action over pay, pension and working conditions.
Millions of people have taken part, with more strikes due to take place over the next few weeks.
Firefighters are some of the most recent people to announce industrial action, and yesterday saw the largest teacher walkout in over 30 years.
I went to St Peter's Square to speak to people partaking in the protest for right to strike. Thousands of strikers gathered yesterday in St Peter's Square to protest the government's new anti-strike bill. Strikers from unions including the NEU, the UCU and PCS marched from St Peter's Square protesting their disputes over better working conditions and a salary that reflects current inflation levels. The government has said that millions of hard-working individuals will be protected from disruption following the new bill, and they hope not to use these measures, but it is their first job to keep the public safe.
We've had basically at least 15, if not 20 or 22% pay cuts since 2010 when the Tories came to power, as we've had pay freezes and we've had below inflation pay rises. So the headline is where we want at least 12%. But it's not just that, because we're also saying it has to be funded. So the measly 5% that they've offered most teachers is enough to bankrupt most schools next year, because they don't put extra money in to help pay that extra pay rise.
The news is incredibly misleading about why we're here today, so it's important that we make it clear it's not just about a pay rise, especially when we've had a pay rise which has actually been in real terms pay cut. It's about schools being funded properly so that the pay rise isn't coming from the schools' budgets.
This is the biggest case of industrial action in over 10 years, with 500,000 people on strike today alone, with members of the UCU, NEU and ASLEF all here fighting for their rights. The large turnout from members of the education sector was met with members of the Train Drivers Union, ASLEF, and representatives from the Public Service Union, Unison.
As Greater Manchester Keep Our NHS Public and Keep Our NHS Public nationally completely supports the strikes, all the strikes that are going on, particularly obviously of health workers because we're an NHS campaign, but we support all the strikers because we know that what they're doing is not just striking for pay, it's not just a pay dispute. This is about attacks by the government, very deliberate attacks by the government that have been going on for some time, it's not recent.
This is just the start of many more strikes to come as workers continue to share their despair with the current government. Harry Cohen, Quays News, Manchester.
Despite rising controversy, the University of Manchester have screened the new documentary The Modi Question.
The documentary showcases the 2002 Gujarat riots that resulted in the deaths of over 1,000 people. The Indian government have banned the series after it points blame at Narendra Modi, the former Chief Minister of the state.
Our reporter Afifa Raza visited the university to find out more.
He is the leader of the world's largest democracy and a figure of controversy. The University of Manchester Students' Union have organised a screening across campus for people to learn more about the Modi question. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's role in the 2002 Gujarat riots has been the subject of a BBC documentary. Following the programme, Modi has banned the two-part series on all platforms across India.
And already in India, the government is trying to ban this, both in terms of banning people watching the documentary as well as stopping people from sharing it. So we, as a student organization in the Students' Federation of India, we have been organizing screening of this documentary across all over Indian campuses, and as a part of that we thought we should also be screening this in UK campuses because it's important for both Indians in the UK to connect to the issues and also for others here to become aware of what is going on in India.
The programmes accuse Modi of condoning the violent outbreaks towards Muslims when he was chief of the Gujarat state. For those in the Muslim community, the documentary has raised some important questions.
The Indian government has been doing a lot of stuff in the background in terms of putting this whole thing on the rug. The Muslim community needs to know about this, and the same way how we, a lot of us are pro-Palestine, we also need to speak out for the people who died in the Gujarat riots, but also our Muslim brothers and sisters.
Now that the documentary is out, Manchester Student Union are determined to educate people on one of the worst outbreaks since the country's independence in 1947.
20 years on, the Gujarat violence remains controversial.
Afifa Raza, Quays News, Manchester.
LGBTQ+ History Month is celebrated every February in the UK.
It is an important time for many people in the community as they look back at how things have changed. Ruby Turner-Hook reports.
Definitely where I grew up and where I had my high school education were just two different places. Both of the places are quite judgmental and homophobic. So, having people in general, growing up, learning about that and learning how to respect us, that is very, very nice.
LGBTQ+ History Month is celebrated every February in the UK. Storm is a fashion design student from the University of Salford who moved to the UK 2 years ago.
Being LGBTQ+, I haven't been able to express myself in any kind of way, not talking about fashion at this point to be honest, but it's just in any kind of way. So I've always tried to channel these kind of feelings into my work. And when I actually started doing fashion design, I mixed genders.
LGBTQ+ History Month was first celebrated in the UK in 2005. Since then, the popularity surrounding the month has only grown and it means so much to people in the local community. I interviewed Daniel McLaughlin, a journalist and lecturer at the University of Salford. He remembers a time where his sexuality would have been illegal to teach.
Out and open and, dare I say, a free bisexual man. I'm very proud to be part of the LGBTQ community. It wasn't always the case, though. I was very much in the closet for many, many years. And you've got to realise, even though I'm not that old, I'm probably one of the last of the Section 28 generation. For those who don't know what Section 28 is, it was a piece of legislation from the Thatcher government that prohibited the promotion of homosexuality in schools and local authorities. Therefore, teachers could not mention gay people, LGBT people in a positive light. LGBT history is essentially history. It's just one form of history. The LGBTQ community has been integral, like every community, to Britain, to the world. So we shouldn't see LGBT history as a bonus or an add-on or a plus. LGBT history is our history.
For many members of the community, this month is a reminder of how far education has come. Ruby Turner-Hook, Salford Now.
Manchester's ever-growing skyline is about to get 71 stories taller. New plans have been released to build the tallest building outside of London.
The building, which is currently known as the Lighthouse, will overtake the current tallest building in the city, South Tower.
Our reporters Evie Rafferty and Ellie Haynes went out to Deansgate to find out more.
Manchester plans to reveal its tallest building yet, overtaking the current tallest, the South Tower. The new building are filling the space of surface level car parks, which are said to be a dead asphalt wasteland with no economic value. Known as the Lighthouse, it will be the UK's tallest building outside of London, standing at 200 metres tall, which equates to 44 double-decker buses. Evie Rafferty, Quays News.
Now, we've seen some people online complaining that the amount of homes that are going to be built in this complex will increase the carbon footprint. But we've also seen the opposite argument about the jobs it's going to bring to the city. So it definitely is something that is going to divide a lot of opinions.
Yeah, especially with the rooftop pool as well.
Well, who wouldn't want a rooftop pool?
I mean, hopefully it's got a shelter on it, because obviously Manchester rains a lot, you know what I mean?
I mean, we can only use it for about 3 days out of the year if we're in Manchester with a rooftop pool.
I was going to say, so hopefully we've got a good old shelter and jobs are good.
What do you get if you cross badminton, tennis and table tennis? The answer is pickleball, which is now becoming the fastest growing sport in America.
However, it is now almost the most popular sport at the Sports Centre in Urbanston. Our sports reporter Callum Irving goes to take part in pickleball.
It's fast, accessible and sociable. From America to Urmston, pickleball is on the rise.
For the mental health, good for the physical health. It's just a friendly atmosphere.
I think it's keep fit for older people, if you like, and getting you out and socialising.
The game is a mixture of badminton, tennis and table tennis, with the game being invented in 1960s America by 3 dads. Pickleball numbers boomed over the pandemic and on social media as people gravitated towards its accessibility and health benefits.
The numbers are getting much better. It's great. We went from probably 12, 14 the first time I came to 28. We had to limit the numbers because there were just too many. My wife started playing. She doesn't play racket sports at all and she loves it. So she was able to pick it up really quickly. It's quite a simple game to get to play and yet good exercise, good fun.
But what are the rules?
The rules are don't volley the return, keep it in play as best you can, and don't step inside that line which is called the kitchen. And that's the hardest bit because you're constantly thinking about where your feet are. If you're a badminton player used to going right into the net, it's quite hard to stop yourself pushing forward. But it's very simple. There aren't many rules to bother about, so get on there and enjoy it is the main bit.
Still not clear? Pickleball is played on the same sized courts as badminton. Serves are diagonal and taken from behind the back line. A point can only be scored by the serving team or player, with the first to 11 winning. While this pickleball club is on the rise, 12 months ago, things could have been very different.
Before COVID, Trafford wanted to close the George Carnell Centre. Campaigning in the streets, knocking on doors, Urmston Town Centre, to keep the centre open, and that's what they managed to do.
So as you can see, the paddle is bigger than a tennis racket, but as light as a table tennis. The ball itself is something you'd find on the playground, not really hard to hit, but nice enough to get some good power behind. Right now there are 7,000 players in England playing pickleball, but by 2025 they want to have at least 25,000. So right now there are only a handful of clubs in and around Salford, but don't be surprised to see many more popping up in the near future.
I decided to have a go and see what the fuss was all about.
That was pickleball. The ball doesn't bounce as much as you think it is. It is very fast paced and it's not as easy as it looks. So yeah, full credit to everyone who has a game of it.
Callum Ewing, Urmston, Quays News.
That's all we have time for on today's programme.
Thank you for watching. I'm off for a game of pickleball. Good night.